What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Flock Friday. I'm your host, Chase Coburn, here today. It's a Flock Friday on a Saturday. Fortunately, I had some things pop up yesterday, but we're back here on Chase's Sports News for a very special episode. I feel like you guys have seen the guy a lot on the right side of the screen, but we keep having him on for a reason because he's probably my favorite guy to talk Ravens football with across the country. So Josh Berman, welcome back onto the program. And I don't think it's ever been a more important game for Baltimore than tomorrow, at least for this season's purposes. So welcome back.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here, dreading the cold, but I'm ready.
You know, Josh Berman does go to every single game, so that is what he does. Real quick, I'm going to tell Josh live here real quick. Be sure to repost the Twitter version so we can get as much tweets or as much traction as possible. I think there's a new one that just came out for the official live stream. I want to get as many views as possible here. What a stream we have here today. Really, really excited for this one. And Josh, I'm going to open with this, by the way, Ryan's Big Blue podcast. Hey, Chase, love the work. Appreciate you, Ryan. I've been meaning to reach out to you, by the way. It's been a minute since we've talked last. So, Ryan, huge shout out to you. Thanks for commenting here on the video. Josh, we were just talking about off the air. Part of me, I feel like the entire season we've been waiting for the Ravens to get it going. At first, it was 1-3. Then Lamar got hurt. It's like, okay, they've been injury prone. They're going to get back to their normal flow. And then they're 6-5, and people are like, all right, back to normal. That's it. But I think Ravens fans knew that this team was not where it needed to be and that their success was a byproduct of an easy schedule. And then you see back-to-back home games against division rivals where, the Bengals, the game wasn't even close. And against Pittsburgh, you could say the Isaiah Likely call was terrible, but the Ravens did not play a good game either. And so now they're below 500 once again. And I feel like the entire season we've been waiting. Yeah, Lamar's going to get things going. The Ravens are going to get things going. It's December. It's mid-December. The Ravens are below 500, and they're not getting anything going at this point. So, Josh Berman, do you think they're just simply not good? Are we waiting for something to happen that almost feels impossible?
I think that they have completely underachieved, but they were not as good as we thought. And here, the other part is this. And I have intentionally avoided talking about him as much as possible because I don't like piling on. I think everyone has made their thoughts very clear, and I agree with those thoughts of a guy like Daniel Falele and everything like that. And I'll go even further. The importance of a good offensive line, I think, really has shown itself, and the importance of a good defensive line. The Ravens have had an issue with pass rushing talent for a while, but honestly, because of good coaching, they've been able to mask it for a while, where they've really lacked having that true pass rusher, but for years, they've been able to mask it, and they've been a good pass rushing team, and this year, for whatever reason, they haven't.
I think no Matabike was the tipping point. It's like, right now you don't have Matabike, and you're going to expose yourself on the edge. That is why Kyle Van Noy was great last year. Not to disrespect Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy is a great player. Don't get me wrong. Kyle Van Noy does not have 12 sacks, 13 sacks, whatever it was last year, without Nnamdi Matabike clogging the interior. So I think without Matabike, this team's flaws, they're being exposed quickly in the trenches.
Agreed.
Put the link in Twitter and on YouTube. We're going to be calling in throughout, the stream. If you guys want to comment, call in or whatever, we got it right here. Go Flock. Love it. And just so you guys can see even more of us, I'm going to take off here the headlines real quick. So, Josh, here's my thought about it. I think that this team was never as good. And I think clearly they're not the odds-on Super Bowl favorite they were projected to be. There is an element of disappointment, but there's also an element of, in football and in life, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And I think this team for a while has tried to run it back, and they've had a lot of moving parts in free agency, but this is essentially the exact same team it was last year.
Yeah.
By pretty much all accounts. DeAndre Hopkins, sure. Maybe a healthy Keaton Mitchell as opposed to a healthy Justice Hill. More or less, this is relatively the same team as last year. 2023 to 2024, there was a lot of turnover. You added Derrick Henry. You lost defensive starters. But this team is identical to the one that it was last year. And, structurally, right? The guys that are on this team. But, the guys have just gotten worse. You could say injuries, you could say the offensive line. Lamar Jackson just hasn't looked as good this season. His success with a clean pocket hasn't looked as good. I even think before the injury, he didn't look as good as he was last year. I think he has regressed a little bit. And he doesn't need to be what he was last year consistently, but he's not what he once was. Derrick Henry is still dominant. I'm always going to advocate for Derrick Henry, but he's not as quick and as explosive as he was last year either. Daniel Faalele and the offensive line has just been abysmal. And for a while, I didn't want to call out Faalele because I really didn't think it was all on him. But after that performance against Pittsburgh, being in person to watch the disaster that was Daniel Faalele, that is one of the worst performances I've ever seen from a professional in anything. That is one of the worst games I've ever seen from an NFL player. And so I think you have all of those issues. And then defensively, no Nnamdi Madubuike hurt more than we thought. I feel like Ravens fans took Madubuike for granted a little bit. And now without him, this team is lost. And I think that's part of the problem too is in football, I'm always like, I've been saying this to everybody too. When they were bad in September, you don't need to be great in September. When you're bad in October, you don't need to be great in October. When you're barely hovering, on the cusp of being good, but not really there in November, I always say you don't need to be great in November. You could say the same thing in December, but eventually this team needs to get things going to honestly forget the Super Bowl at this point, just to make the playoffs. Correct. Part of me is like, okay, you don't need to be great now. Look at the 2012 Ravens. Look at the 2000 Ravens. Just get hot when it matters most. But part of me thinks even in a wide-open AFC, this team just isn't good enough. The offensive line and defensive line on this team, their trenches are not good enough for this team. So I feel like at this point, are we just holding on to lost hope?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. That's exactly what it is. And I want to disagree with you. I want to say, yeah, but no, it is. There is part of me that's like, maybe they can figure it out. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But like, why? Other than go Ravens, there is no other reason to believe in this team.
I guess the only thing is Lamar. Like, can Lamar be Superman?
No, that is, yeah. I mean, but Lamar by himself is not going to win you a Super Bowl.
Well, if it does, I mean, that's his legacy moment.
This is his 2011 Dirk opportunity.
That's what it is. Honestly, I think that is what makes this team so much more frustrating is Buffalo is my pick to win the Super Bowl, and I'm not thinking twice about it. I mean, the AFC is wide open.
And I think they were better last year than they are this year.
I mean, the Bills to me are scary because they've already gone through their struggles. You have Josh Allen and James Cook in the running game is a lot more dependable than it was last year. For me, the Bills are going all the way.
But yet I think we can beat them.
Absolutely. The Ravens 100%. Look at what they did week 1. They were the far better team. They blew it. But, like, they were up 15 points with 5 minutes left on the road. Like, that's a much better team. In the playoffs, they outgained them by 2 yards of play. Like, they're a much better team than Buffalo. But they're not there, Josh. They're not there. And they're not as good as they were last year either, and that's going to hurt them.
One half of my Super Bowl predictions looking really good, and ironically, it's the half that I got more hate for. And that was, I picked the Ravens, and the only real hate I got for that was people calling me biased, but not really a bad take. The take that everyone thought I was crazy about was picking the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. And look at them. I mean, they're...
NFC is a far...
That to me is the team to beat.
Who, the Panthers now, I guess? I mean, I don't know. I think the Rams are more flawed than people want to admit.
Everyone's more flawed than people want to admit.
That's true. I think this is the most flawed NFL season ever. Like, I feel like last year, people didn't want to admit it, but the Eagles were that team the whole year.
Yep. 100%.
Like, they came into other people's houses. And
100%.
Like, they were that team the entire year, whether people wanted to admit it or not. After that bye week, it was over. I mean, they were the best team. In 2023, you had some really high-quality teams here. Like, the Ravens were really high-quality that year, the Niners, and then the Chiefs just ended up going beast mode in the playoffs. Like, I feel like and then the year before that, the Eagles and the Chiefs were both good. I feel like this is the first year there's really not one dominant team. It's wide open. And that's why, if you are a team like Baltimore, that is the only thing you can hang on to. Is like, if you get in the picture, who knows? You have a home playoff game. Mahomes isn't there. If you win that home playoff game, that probably means you knocked out Josh Allen. So, like, if you're a Ravens fan, as much as you think this team is awful, and I agree with you there, if you're able to get it and beat the Bills in round 1 at home, which I think they could do, it would probably be favored. And they'd probably be favored to do if that's the matchup. You're telling me they can't go on the road and beat Drake May and Bo Nix to get to the Super Bowl?
I'll tell you who my dark horse is, though, and I'm Houston.
Houston's a very good team. Houston is a very, very good
Houston, to me, is the matchup nightmare for every single team in the AFC. Every single team in the AFC. Houston is that matchup nightmare. And they figured it. As bad as we were, looking back at that Houston game, as terrible as we were against Houston, I don't know about everyone else. I did not give Houston enough credit. I focused too much on how bad the Ravens were, and they were awful. That was about as bad of a performance as I've ever seen the Ravens have in any game ever. But a big part of that was Houston's performance in that game.
For sure.
And since, as good as Denver's defense is, I think Houston is the best defense in football. And I trust CJ Stroud to get it done in January. I mean, 2 years in a row, he's won a playoff game. They're the only team that's never made a conference championship. I wouldn't be surprised at the very least if that.
Texans are a scary team because the offensive line isn't as bad as it was last year, which has allowed Stroud to be a bit more comfortable. They're a scary team for sure. All right, we've been talking so much. We've been complaining. Real quick before we talk about this game in particular between Baltimore and Cincinnati, where both teams are in a must-win playoff mode, type of scenario.
They lose, they're out.
Right. And if the Ravens lose and the Steelers win, you're pretty much out at that point too. I mean, you're holding on to a miracle at that point. So, I do want to talk about this though. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. I actually think he looked a lot better against Pittsburgh, but that pick was still bad. He still looks less agile. Is it really the injuries?
I think that last Sunday, obviously, saying the words "forget the interception" is
outside of that. How was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
But I do think that outside of that interception, he actually played, I think, his best game since the Buffalo game or the Miami game. Miami, he was great, but I thought he looked by far the most agile he's looked. I think he missed far fewer throws than he's missed in a while. It was just one throw that was terrible, but outside of it, ironically enough to his cousin, but it
they played in the backyard too much. He knows his tendencies.
He read him like a book. But outside of that, I do think that he's coming off of a good game.
And I do feel like he looked a lot quicker against Cincinnati the last time. Like when they played on Thanksgiving, everything just kind of fell apart after Isaiah Likely's fumble and then the Zay OPI. It felt like everything just unraveled and Lamar turned it over. It was just a disaster. But I really felt like Lamar looked a lot quicker. I'm curious to see if the Ravens go back to that read option in this matchup because we'll talk about this. I feel like every week we say this, but especially the past few weeks, the story makes sense. There's a reason why we do bring it up. I mean, the Ravens need to run the ball a lot in this matchup. There's no reason why Derrick Henry shouldn't get 20-plus carries again. I said this last week. I said if the Ravens controlled the time of possession and won the turnover battle, and they would go and win the game. They controlled the TOP. They ran the ball. They just happened to lose a turnover battle and lost. But they need to go back to the running game again in this matchup. If you thought Pittsburgh's run defense was bad, you're in for a rude awakening here in Cincinnati. They are the worst run defense in the National Football League by all accounts. Yards per carry allowed, rush yards allowed, and the Ravens were running on them really well until Todd Monken decided to give Derrick Henry 0 carries in the second quarter on Thanksgiving, an organizational malpractice. The Ravens are 12-2 when they give Henry 20-plus carries. Feed the king again. Mix in Lamar, mix in Mitchell, mix in 34 if he is fully healthy, and go with it. The Ravens are 7-11 when they don't give Derrick Henry 20 or more carries. Like, this team is a lot better when they run the ball, and this lines up to be a game where you could go and you can run the ball.
Out, especially in this cold. But
the win, for sure.
That is an X factor. Because as much as we were kidding about the cold and how brutal it's going to be on me and this and that, but in this weather, that is going to be the coldest game that the Ravens have played in their 30-year existence tomorrow. When you have a guy like Derrick Henry, who is big and running into you, that hurts normally. When you're playing in a wind chill of below 0 and you are consistently getting hit, that pain goes up.
Right.
So you can really use that. Hey, that is what the Ravens have been built on, is that toughness, and it's something that we have not seen enough of out of this team. This needs to be a Ravens style game, a historically Ravens game, which is just physical football. Because I'll tell you what, as much as John Harbaugh has lost this team, if he has lost the ability to make his team physical, that would be the biggest indictment, because that's always been his big thing, is physicality. So at the very least, as bad of a job as I think he's done this year, I still expect to see a physical team tomorrow. I can't convince myself that a John Harbaugh coach team isn't at least a little bit physical when they need to be.
I mean, that's what they always hang their hat on, the Ravens. It's the flock around and find out mentality. Yeah. And not to mention there's also the element of the Ravens are terrible against the deep passing game. Rodgers was 4 for 4 last week on passes, 20-plus air yards down the field. He looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers, and the Ravens have really struggled against the deep ball this year. And so you're thinking, okay, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, here we come again. But if the wind is really that severe, you ain't able to throw 40-yard bombs. Like, that's not how this works.
At least not more than once or twice. That's the thing, is even if this team was good at defending the deep ball, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are so good at it where they're inevitably going to connect on one. But in this weather, that might be the only time. So weather that storm and keep going. Because inevitably, even if we had the best defense in the league, they're probably going to hit at least one because they're that good at it.
Yeah. I mean, they've done it since college.
Yeah, but if that's a 45-yard gain and not a 60-yard touchdown, you're fine if you can get a stop. That's kind of my point.
Call me crazy. I don't think, like, when I watched that game on Thanksgiving, I really thought the Ravens were the far better football team, but they just shot themselves in the foot. 100%. Like, I was like, oh my God, January came early this year. I'm like, this is what always happens in the playoffs. You're the better team. You have more yards per play. You clearly look like the superior product, but you turn the ball over, you shoot yourselves in the foot so many times that it's too insurmountable to overcome. If the Ravens had 2 turnovers in that game, they probably win. If they have 3 turnovers, they at least make it close.
Yep.
So, and it's ironic that those turnovers continue to come at the goal line. Like, this team is for some reason terrible inside the 1-yard line.
You've struck a nerve there, because that has been my number one talking point this year about the Ravens that people are not talking about enough, and I will bring it up every time I get the opportunity to. You've teed me up for it, so I'm going. In 2024, the Baltimore Ravens ranked number 1 in the red zone. In 2025, they are number 30.
And Lamar is the worst completion percentage in the NFL in the red zone. After he was
the best team in the league at it last year.
What changed?
That is the question. And I don't think that there's a singular answer. I think the blocking has gotten worse. I think Lamar has become less accurate. I think Derrick Henry is a little bit less of what he once was. And I think the play calling is not as good. I think all of that is true. I don't think it's a one-issue thing. You don't go from number 1 to number 30 because of one thing. I think there's multiple reasons. And then the fifth one of luck. Sometimes guys just get wide open because your opponent didn't do their job. Like, that's happening less. So,
what's interesting is I'm curious. I really want to see, like, because obviously the Ravens' points per game is down, under 24 this year. And I know it's changed. It's still like around 25 with Lamar compared to like 30 last year. But the yardage, it's 325 a game. Say that's about 340 a game with Lamar. I mean, last year was 420. So it's like, it's crazy that the Ravens, if they were just a little bit better in the red zone, they'd be somewhat similar to what they were last year, even though they've been the less efficient offense overall. But they haven't
even. If they were better in the red zone, they'd be 8-4. I really believe that.
Probably. I mean, they probably win the Detroit game. I mean, that's a tight one where they lost in the red zone. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. But it's just ironic that, like, Lamar, pick 6 in the end zone at the goal line in Buffalo in 2020. Tyler Huntley fumbles the ball at the goal line, turning it into a touchdown in the 22 playoffs. 23, Zay Flowers fumble at the goal line. Mark Andrews drop at the goal line. What happens to this team at the goal line? Like, you're 99 yards. You're 99.9% of your way there. You've done 99.9% of the work. What happens to this team at the goal line?
Don't know. I don't know.
Organizational malpractice. Truly.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the same problem I was on Charm City sideline and we're having this conversation of like, why are we talking about the same things every year? Run the ball more, turnovers, malpractice at the goal line. Like, why are the same things happening over and over and over and over and over again?
Definition of insanity.
Doing the same thing over and over again. And that's where I go back to, if you're not getting better in this league, you're getting worse. And that's where I feel like maybe this will be the tipping point for change. I know we saw the Reddit post, about the Ravens, and we don't know how much validity there is to that point. You obviously do not want to speculate. I do think, though, a lot of what was said, even if that is not true, I think a lot of what was said is true. Yeah, I wonder if this team has just checked out. Lamar taking a rest day. I'm curious if this team is just checked out. I'm curious if they like how the message is resonating in the locker room. I think this could be the tipping point for change. Like, if this team misses the playoffs as the preseason Super Bowl favorites, you have to think that will be the tipping point for change.
You do, but there is one thing that I've had in the back of my mind, and I haven't said it to anybody.
Uh-oh.
I want to hear what you think about this.
I'm here.
I haven't heard a single insider bring up even the possibility of it. Think about it. There is not, I could have missed something, but I don't think I have. There is not a single reputable insider that has even brought up the possibility of the Ravens moving on from John Harbaugh. It's all from us. Now, Ravens.
Here's the thing. Do you think they're really keeping that in-house if that's something they want to do?
That was what I was going to say, is there might not be a better team in the NFL at keeping things under wraps. No one knew about the Hollywood trade. No one knew that the Ravens wanted Roquan. Like, no one knew the Lamar Jackson extension was happening until it happened.
Until Lamar tweeted SpongeBob.
Yeah, hell. No one knew about Jair until the Ravens put it out. Like, it's everything. Like, it's so there is that. But I had the thought yesterday driving up here, and it was just like, and that could just be nothing. It could have just been a flying thought. But I haven't said it to anybody. I figured I'd bounce it off you. Like, do you think there's anything to that or no?
I don't think so, because I really do think the Ravens would be keeping this quiet. I think that they have too much respect for Harbaugh, what he's done for 18 years with this franchise.
And I think deservedly so. I think that's gotten lost in the shuffle of how bad of a job he's done in recent years.
And you know what, Josh? I'm going to cut you off here because I've been a big critic of John Harbaugh, but I don't want that to overshadow what he's done. Like,
yeah,
you need to be really good at what you do to have 18 years of staying power at one franchise. Yeah. He's consistent. He's dependable. Whether you think he can get you to the very top is a different question, but he wins.
Yeah.
Like, how often, Josh? I mean, when's the last time the Ravens were eliminated from playoff contention before week 18? Or the final week of the season?
I was about to say, before there was a week 18.
Right.
Was the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying, like, this team doesn't have those types of years, especially under Harbaugh. So maybe you want to move on from Harbaugh. Right. I think it would be one of those things, kind of like Belichick, where they let him resign.
Yeah. 2016. The AB.
Yeah.
Immaculate extension. Yeah. Ruining my Christmas, even though I'm Jewish. Terrible, terrible day. That was. How old were you in 2016? Do you remember this or not?
I do not remember. My first year my first memory with the Ravens was Flacco's pick 6 against the Bengals in the 2017 season. So it's a great first memory.
Hitting Tyler Boyd, the touchdown, 4th and 12.
Yep, that was that game. Yeah.
Yep, that was.
And you know what's crazy is
that was
probably good in hindsight that happened, because it ended up the Ravens getting Lamar. Like, I feel like they needed to have those. Like, they needed to just tell themselves, they needed to show themselves that it's not working anymore.
And I think it could be very similar, where I said this very early in the year, and I still feel this way. For us, different conversation, because we want to see our team win. But for me, worst case scenario for the Ravens is another wild card or divisional round exit. I think they either need to theoretically go on this Cinderella run or miss entirely and just have a wake-up call.
Yeah, I think so too. I think here's the thing is you don't want that to happen as a fan because you want to hold on to hope and you want to be competitive.
You don't want to see your team lose.
I mean, right. I mean, but if this team, like, if they lose against the Bengals here, you're 6-8, your season's over. It's a wrap. You could, that's what it is.
Yeah.
At that point, does this team just implode? And then you see the major changes? Because the only thing, too, is you can't make this change. And I'm not saying they should because you have a generational talent on your hands. But Harbaugh has done it. Harbaugh has proven that with the proper construction, with the proper roster, you can do it. And maybe maybe the message doesn't resonate, but he has shown that. Whether you think he was the reason for it, he showed that he could be the head coach of a Super Bowl winning team. Yep. Lamar Jackson has not shown he can be the quarterback of a Super Bowl winning team.
Right.
As much as you think he can be, as talented as he is, as many MVP awards as he's going to have in the closet, he's made one AFC championship game. He's never won back-to-back playoff games. Right. And whether you want to blame Buffalo on him last year or not in that playoff game, I don't think it was all his fault like it has been in previous years. But he should not be rewarded as greatly for putting out the fire that he set.
Okay.
So
I don't necessarily disagree.
I love Lamar. I trust Lamar. But at the same time, that is the only thing. You're getting rid of if the Ravens do fire Harbaugh, you're getting rid of the one variable that has proven it can work before.
But I think you have to live and die by your generational talent.
Correct.
You have to. And if he gets it done, he gets it done. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. I can live with Lamar just never got it done.
No, I cannot live with that.
No. Let me finish the thought. I can live with Lamar just didn't get it done in Baltimore a lot easier than I can get behind the Ravens stuck behind John Harbaugh and Lamar got it done somewhere else. That was the point.
That would I'd never recover. I would never recover.
That's the point. You just either he gets it done or he doesn't, but it needs to be here. It can't be anywhere else.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I don't either. I don't think he wants to either.
However, I do think he will use the next extension because the Ravens need to get the cap hit down.
Yeah.
I do wonder if Lamar will use that as leverage. If Lamar wants something, does he have enough power there where he's like, I'll sign the extension if blank.
Right.
Right. It's an interesting conversation. All right. I want to talk about this game a little bit. How are you feeling overall? Like, I don't know how to feel because part of me thinks the Ravens are the much better team. Then I think back to 2 weeks ago where the Ravens got clobbered by Cincinnati on their own field, and now it's the cold. Lamar doesn't like to play in the cold, but then I think that
Josh doesn't like to sit in the cold either.
Josh doesn't like to sit in the cold, but I'm trying to process in my mind how to feel about this game, and we're T-minus, what is it now, like less than 20 hours, and I still don't know what it feels. So how do you feel?
Same exact way. It's one of those games where it's truly, I truly feel 50-50 about it. I think that it's one of those games where I can, any scenario, I can see it. I could see the Ravens blowing them out. I could see the Ravens getting blown out. I could see them winning a close game. I could see them losing a close game. I could see all of the things possibly happening tomorrow. I really could. So because you're looking at two teams that
have been so unpredictable. It's like the only consistency with these two teams has been inconsistency
or disappointment.
And part of me is trying to think about how Joe Burrow's going to play because I think Burrow looked more, even though he made worse mistakes, he looked more like himself last week against Buffalo in terms of like being able to drop back, being able to roll around, being able to make similar throws. Like he felt more like himself last week than he did against the Ravens on Thanksgiving, which is maybe a bad omen considering the Bengals still won that game by considerable margins.
The other part is, and I know I keep talking about it, but it really is important because there's cold and then there is what they're calling for tomorrow. It is like, I know Lamar, I doubt Burrow has played a game in this level. I don't know if there's a single player on the field that will have played in a game colder than what they are expected to experience tomorrow. So there is also that factor of can you maintain in this way? Because 7 below is crazy. So like, who's going to have that toughness of playing through that and not letting that affect them?
By the way, if I'm a sideline reporter for that game, I think I sacrificed the check that I make Find someone else, folks. I'm out.
Legit.
I mean, you got it worse
over here.
Where are your seats? Because you may
I'm
get it worse.
Down low.
Okay, good. Hopefully,
I debated getting a club seat.
Really?
I debated it, and the only reason why I decided against it was just because, honestly, because I'm me and I like being involved in the crowd. Hey, who knows? But I did.
As long as the people from Miami aren't there, go be yourself.
I have decided to that point that I am sitting first row for these games because, hey, there's no one in front of me, and if someone's got a problem behind me, my eyes are forward. That's it.
It's like no matter what section you are, you got to be first row.
Pretty much, that's what I've decided. Shout out TickPick. I don't got that much money. Shout out TickPick.
You got a sponsorship with them?
Yeah. You think I can afford to go all these games, man? The season tickets aren't even mine. They're my grandfather's. I don't pay for this.
Shout out Pops.
Yes.
All right. I'm curious to see how this game goes. All right, let's talk about this. Right, I don't want to look ahead. Say the Ravens are able to win this game in another ugly game, but they don't look like themselves. Whatever. They're 7-7 right now. The Ravens are favorites against the Patriots, and I told you that, and you were flabbergasted.
Yeah, it's shocking.
At the beginning of before we ended up going on air. I don't think the Ravens can beat a team the quality of the New England Patriots.
Well, they're going to need to.
I mean, eventually they're going to need to beat a team the quality of the New England Patriots.
Let's go.
I don't know. I mean, can the Ravens stop the deep ball of Drake May? Like, I just feel like should we put ourselves through this amount of stress? I do really feel like if the Ravens have a chance to win the division on the road in Pittsburgh, they could go and do that. And then that's where you hold on to hope. But the question is, can you get to the point where you have the same record as Pittsburgh going into the final week? I could see the Steelers going 1-2 in their next 3 games ahead of that. Can the Ravens go 2-1 in their next 3? I think the jury's still out there because maybe the Ravens will be favored in all 3, but certainly by a little margin. I mean, I think it's 2.5 against Cincinnati, 1.5 against New England. And I actually think Green Bay will probably be favored at home over Baltimore.
Yeah, depending on what happens to them the next couple of weeks. I agree with you.
Yeah,
yeah, it's New England's so interesting because they, as good as they've looked, it's a very unproven team. They're looking at like who they played. So
here's the thing too, though. I feel like part of being a great team in the National Football League, I'm not saying they're going to go and win a Super Bowl. I think at some point you win 11 games, you have a shot. But I feel like part of being a team in the National Football League is when you beat everybody badly, you prove that you're certainly in the elite echelon. Like, right. You prove that you're not in that category.
I agree with you.
Like, no one talks about the fact that they absolutely waxed the Carolina.
Yeah, it's not how they win, it's how they win. And I 1,000% agree with you.
Like, they beat a Carolina Panthers team that has been really competitive this year, has pulled off extreme upsets against Green Bay, the Rams, and all that. They waxed that team. They beat Buffalo on the road. Yeah. You know, I don't think I think they've looked ugly in some games. I picked the Falcons to win that one game. I remember going back, and they didn't look good in that Atlanta game either. I don't think they looked incredible against Cincinnati. But, like, look at everyone else in the NFL. Like, we were having 100% agree with you. Everyone looks fraud. I don't think, Josh, real quick, it looks like we do have a caller here. I'm going to add him to the stage. John, it looks like.
Hey, you guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. So Chase and Josh, I was just listening in about the playoff scenarios, and I was playing with the little ESPN playoff machine.
Love it.
That shout out that.
Better, by the way.
Yeah. And what I realized is if the Ravens beat the Bengals, then in theory that game's on Sunday night against the Patriots. The Ravens will know what they have to do with that game, because if Pittsburgh drops the Dolphins game and then drops the Lions game, the Ravens don't have to win that Patriots game or that Green Bay game. They're guaranteed to go to Pittsburgh to play for the division because of the common opponent's tiebreaker. So, but the most likely scenario is Pittsburgh probably splits that, wins one, and then you have to go to that Patriots game. But that Patriots game is going to have a lot of momentum and a lot of hope. I know we're, talking about, do we want the Ravens to win or not? But I feel like there's a lot of momentum going into that game on Sunday Night Football at home, where if you get a result, you're guaranteed to go to Pittsburgh to play for the division.
By the way, if Buffalo wins this week, that division isn't over yet either. So New England will have, like...
You're 100% But it's crazy to think about it. We've been cheering for the Bills a lot lately, but now we're kind of flipped. You're a Patriots fan this week if you're the Ravens.
Yeah.
For sure. And for sure. And sorry to cut you guys off, but if the Patriots win that game against the Buffalo Bills, I mean, the Ravens could have an ideal schedule where you have a Patriots team that is, coming off of a massive division clinching win. Yes, they're still competing for the 1 seed, but that could be an easy letdown game in Baltimore.
Agreed.
Yeah, if fans show up 100%. Like, I just smile. I think about Ravens winning a game on Sunday Night Football at home, and I just smile. It's like natural instinct to me. John, I assume you're a Ravens fan?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so how are you feeling overall after the disaster that has been the last 2 weeks? And look, I know they got hosed on the Isaiah Likely call, and I'll die on that hill, but they didn't look good either. They shouldn't have put themselves in that spot. How are you feeling as a whole? Are you a little bit more positive than me and Josh, who seem like dead fans at this point?
Well, listen, this is what I'll say, right? I've been watching Lamar Jackson these past few weeks, and I will say the second half, I was in the stadium for the Pittsburgh game. The second half of that Pittsburgh game, Lamar Jackson had his best half of football that he's had since coming back from injury.
Yeah,
right? He looked way more mobile. He looked way more decisive and had 4 or 5 straight great offensive drives where he got unlucky on the likely call. He got an unfortunate play call on third and 4 or 3rd and 2, whatever it was. And that's not talked about enough, that missed play call. That should be a timeout by the coaches. I do not know what Harbaugh's doing there.
That's
a busted play at a really bad spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and and it's really typical Ravens, in the red zone this season, which is a whole nother issue. But I mean, unlike you, Josh, and I don't know exactly where you stand on this, Chase, but I'm not a Harbaugh out fan right now. And I know that's crazy. I check my social media, and all I'm seeing is I don't know if I want to root for the Ravens this week because I want Harbaugh gone. Harbaugh is not going to go. He is unless he decides to leave the team or Lamar Jackson says I'm not signing a contract extension if Harbaugh's still there.
I think
Harbaugh will be the coach next season, and that's what fans have to realize.
I think that's the most likely scenario. I mean, Lamar is whether you love him or hate him. Obviously, when you're Baltimore, you love him. We all do. But Lamar has 100% used his power to get his way in Baltimore. Not even just power, but do the Ravens go after Jair if he's not Lamar's college teammate?
Some would argue not enough, by the way.
Oh.
Right. So, yeah, some would argue not enough. I mean, every player has. I think that, some people complain about that. I'm not against that, right? I mean, he's Lamar Jackson. But I do wonder if Lamar Jackson will use the leverage of, we need you to sign a contract extension. And he's like, that guy can't be on the sidelines. I do wonder if that will be an element. But, John, I have a question for you, though. So when you say you're not – I understand being against the, lose out type of thing. Because that's, I mean, this team still has a chance, whether you like it or not. Not a great one, but they still have a chance.
I will never root for my team to lose.
Never. Yeah, I can't ever do that. But, John, are you in a spot where you don't think the Ravens should fire Harbaugh or you don't think they will?
Both. I don't think Harbaugh has done enough to deserve being fired. I think that this season, listen, I think this season ultimately falls on the shoulders of Eric DeCosta. And I'm not fire Eric DeCosta because I think this is the first really misstep that you've seen in his tenure.
Agreed.
I mean, you can point to him not building up the team during Lamar's rookie contract. Okay. I think that's more of a Greg Roman issue than an Eric DeCosta issue. But in terms of this season is for sure an indictment of Eric DeCosta, right? And I think it's less on Harbaugh and more on DeCosta. So therefore, I think you keep Harbaugh. You also keep DeCosta. I think DeCosta is going to prove to you that he's a great GM, and he's a great GM that made an error that over-relied on finding these savvy edge rusher vets and praying that they're going to work out in Kyle Van Noy, Jadeveon Clowney. And now it's Eric DeCosta's turn to go out there, and now you have to get a pass rusher. Matabike may be out for his career. We have no clue what's going on there. You got to go out and you got to get a big-time edge rusher. Right, you got to rebuild the offensive line through the draft, through maybe signing a guard or two. And you have to let go of some players, right? I think you're gonna have some salary cap if you extend Lamar, hopefully. And it's time to go after players, get an edge rusher, shore up the offensive line. It should be a trench-heavy draft class from the Ravens, and this is really Eric DeCosta's time to prove it. If you claim to be an elite GM in the top 3 of GM rankings year after year, you need to prove that you can bounce back from having a really poor season on his end.
I guess here's my problem with that is the fact that, whether you think it's DeCosta over Harbaugh, DeCosta has built teams that have been good enough to win a Super Bowl, i.e. 2019 and 2023. And I don't want maybe what you could maybe call, according to you, a lackluster year from DeCosta. I don't want that to mask, I don't think Harbaugh's had a good year at all.
In terms of challenges, it's been one of his strongest years as a coach. I mean, I cannot point to fourth quarter collapses like I could point to in the last few years and say that's because of Harbaugh not calling a timeout or Harbaugh not being able to properly manage the game.
Agree with that.
What about the Buffalo game that kind of spiraled everything? I mean, that was classic Ravens. How about maybe not a fourth quarter letdown, but
Derrick Henry fumbled the football. Right? Like once again, we can break down seasons. We can go from 2019, discuss the faults. I was in the stadium for that Titans-Ravens game, right? That came down to be the lights were just way too bright for the team, I think, in general. I think a lot of this is player performance. I think you're right. You would 100% want to die on the hill where you entrust in your superstar player to win you a Super Bowl in Lamar Jackson rather than keep a coach like Harbaugh. But I definitely think that Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl together. It's just a matter of the players locking in and cutting down on the dumb turnovers, and also the head coach has to lock in. But in terms of a strict head coaching sense, I do not think Harbaugh has been poor this season at all. I think this is actually one of his better coached years in the amount of irony that is, that we're a 6-7 football team. So I don't know.
Here's my problem with that. Josh, hold on, Josh, real man. I'm going to go to you after this. Here's my one problem with that. Is you mentioned, okay, Derrick Henry fumbled the football, but I feel like in every single fourth quarter collapse, the Ravens have had a mistake of that magnitude. In every game they've lost like that, they've had a mistake of that magnitude, and everything technically then would lie on player performance. For me, the fact that it's Lamar one year, and it's Huntley the next year, and it's Zay the next year, and then it's Mark Andrews, and then it's Derrick Henry, and then it's Isaiah Likely. If one player at one point or another is at blame, it's not like there's one consistency. It's not like every time it's on Mark Andrews or every time it's on Derrick Henry. That player, it changes. So for me, if we continue to have a new player making the game-changing mistake, what's the common denominator there? Is that a coaching thing? Is that not being ready? Because you can't say that's a personnel issue if the personnel is different.
Yeah, I agree with all that. My argument is this. I think John Harbaugh is a good coach.
Agree.
But Lamar is in year 8. You can't. You have to change something.
The definition of insanity, Josh. You keep saying it.
It's not even necessarily the fact that John Harbaugh has done an awful job. I don't think he's done a good job, but it's not even necessarily that. It's more of something's got to change. You got to try something else. You just have to. That's more of what I've decided.
And I don't think firing DeCosta is a change. And I don't think DeCosta
that'd be a dumb move.
That would be an awful move, in my opinion. DeCosta's been fantastic as a whole. Like, again, a lot of people love to hate on his draft picks. No one likes to talk about the Malachi Starks has played really well as of late. No one likes to talk about the Teddy Buchanan's been a starting inside linebacker. No one likes to talk about how they were really down on Nate Wiggins until they weren't. Right? So no one likes to talk about that he did nail the Zay Flowers pick. So I feel like
the Ravens have ever had.
Right,
I really believe that.
I think he's blamed. He should have gone out and get an offensive lineman, but look, I think his biggest mistake, and no one will talk about this, is signing Cooper Rush for $6 million a year. That was, I think, the biggest mistake he's arguably ever made. Because between Jair's $4 million or $6 million, whatever it was, and Cooper Rush's $6 million, having $10 to $12 million on an offensive guard right now would feel a whole lot better. A whole lot better. I guess that's my point. John, what do you think?
What's so tough is that you don't know what the issue is. I agree, because you've seen 8 years of failure, of playoff failure. In my opinion, you remove your head coach when you think there's a cultural problem that is either ingrained within the locker room or ingrained within the organization. I currently do not think there's an organizational flaw that you see with the Ravens. I just don't think that's evident. You can't say that with the record that the Ravens have put up. You can't say that with the multiple playoff appearances, right? You can point to maybe playoff failures as an organizational failure, but does that come down to something broad, something cultural that has been misaligned under the Harbaugh era? I just don't see that.
I guess at that point, I feel like then you start to speculate. For me, I question whether the message is resonating in the locker room, because no one likes to bring this up. And I know it's a stupid thing that I'm going to bring up right now, but just again, we're in speculation mode. Ravens are 0-2 since John Harbaugh once again said, "Who's got it better than us?" Like,
oh, come on.
I'm just saying though, has he mismanaged the situation a little bit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like dancing, I'm never gonna get over the dancing after the Texans playoff win. I'm never gonna.
And I'll never have a problem with that. I'll never have a problem with him doing it.
Why?
Because you're allowed to be happy that you won.
But Andy Reid, literally, they had already won 2 Super Bowls at that core. Andy Reid literally mocked Harbaugh.
I know.
And because he said, "We're not dancing, we have work to do." And guess who was on the winning side of that the next week?
I know. But I don't think that I don't think that not enjoying things a little bit. I mean, the best Ravens teams have been the teams that have had the most fun. That 2000 team enjoyed it. That 2012 team, you saw that enjoyment in the way they rallied around Ray, and that there was that moment of image they enjoyed it. 2019 might be the most fun team I've ever seen. 2020,
but 2019 failed. 2019 failed.
But my point is, every single year that the Ravens have success is they do enjoy it. So I don't have a problem with them enjoying it a little bit. I don't disagree with your point about the difference in mindset, but I also think that in that moment, that was a hurdle for the Ravens to get over. It wasn't the final hurdle, but it was a hurdle that the Ravens had not gotten past, that they did in that moment, that they wanted to take a second and say, hey, this isn't what we want to do, but hey, this is better than we've had before. Let's give ourselves at least credit for it today and move on tomorrow. And
I mean, what is this, little league baseball? Good job, boys. You won a game. Let's try to win another. I mean, come on now.
All right.
Professionals. Like, they're professionals who are a top 5 Super Bowl favorite. Like, come on now. Like, all right. I guess that's my point. And John, real quick before we're going to let you go, I guess your point is, you don't want to fire DeCosta, you don't want to fire Harbaugh. What change do you make? Because do you really think that just improving the trenches and doing what you did in 24 and 23, you just think it's going to work eventually, like magically? I'm actually asked that seriously because I feel like you have to make some change. I'm curious what you think that change should be.
Well, I think the change starts with you have to let Zach Orr go. He's not been competent enough as a defensive coordinator. When you go to an organization like the Ravens that prides itself on the defense, the number one coordinator that's going to be under the microscope is your defensive coordinator. So that needs a change along with the offensive line coordinator. I think on top of that, when you look at head coaching change, you have to also come to the realization that of coaches who have coached a new team for 2 years, I think in NFL history, only 5 second-year coaches have ever won a Super Bowl, and I think only 1 first-year coach has ever won a Super Bowl. So in terms of this shortening timeline of Lamar Jackson, right, in his prime as a Raven, you would love to have at least sort of some level of stability at the head coaching position. So I think that's
you've had stability for 8 years, though, right? Haven't you had stability?
You have had stability, but you need head coaching stability in order to win a Super Bowl. And by changing head coaches, you have to now, statistically, you have to wait 3 years. Your window does not open until that 3rd year for head coaching, right? And as Ravens fans, do we have time to wait 3 more years? I guess we've already waited 8, but I would like having the chances.
I don't know this. I did not know that stat. And that's a very interesting stat. I would love to go back though and see, who were really on those teams. Like, is Lamar Jackson a variable that changes things? And that's why it's a never-ending conversation. And frankly, you can't just simulate this. This isn't a video game where you could go back and simulate each choice. Whatever choice the Ravens make, that's the one they're going to have to live with. And I think that's what makes this so much fun. John, we really appreciate you calling in. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting game and a very, very interesting offseason if things don't go the way as planned. John, thank you for calling in. One of the most well-discussed, well-spoken, and knowledgeable call-ins we've ever had on this show. Thank you so much for calling in. We'd love to have you call in on future programs.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And just quickly, Josh, I'm worried about a 2016 repeat if we go to that Pittsburgh game. I'm very worried that we may see something. It's not Antonio Brown this time. It'll be DK Metcalf sticking his arm out and touchdown. I'm worried.
I can't even hear it.
Don't even.
Okay. Good talking to you guys.
Thank you so much. Take care, man. Go Ravens. All right. Honestly, Josh, that was an incredible conversation. Again, one of the best call-ins I've ever had. Huge shout out to John, man. That's awesome. Really quick, gotta put this comment up. Steelers Super Bowl on the way. No. Sorry about that, buddy. As Josh to quote, as a wise man once said, you suck too, just a little bit less than we do. I love that quote.
That was from the heart,
at the train station. That had me cracking up at the train station.
That was my phone at 4%. One take, seeing the fact that I was at 57 seconds. I needed 3 more to get to that minute. It's like, God, just wrong with it.
Love it, man. That was awesome. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. Josh Berman, really quick. I need a prediction from you for tomorrow's game.
21-17. Ravens.
Okay. That felt like a long second of waiting to hear.
Yeah. I think we got them. I do. I just don't. There's also part of me, like, I don't think they're going to beat us twice.
That's an element too. I really don't think they're good enough.
It's hard to beat the same team twice. It really, really is. Especially within 3 weeks of each other.
Yeah. I'd be curious to look up the stats, like the Giants and the Eagles split when that happened this year. A few years ago when that happened, the Ravens and the Browns split. I don't have the time in my schedule, nor if I don't know if it's a stat that exists, how often a team wins back-to-back games in a span of 3 weeks like that.
Probably not often.
Probably not often. It's a very good point. You guys are going to have to wait. ChaseCoburn.substack.com. You'll see an article if you're in your inbox tomorrow if you subscribe. Because frankly, guys, I haven't decided yet. I'm really being honest with you as an analyst. As a fan, of course, I'm riding with the flock. But genuinely, as an analyst, I haven't made up my mind yet. I really haven't. To be completely honest with y'all. So ChaseCoburn.substack.com. Subscribe right now. We cover all Baltimore sports on there. And you guys can find out. And then once you subscribe too, you guys will get recaps and immediate thoughts and positional grades and analysis and which Ravens should make the Pro Bowl and random stuff like that. So go ahead and do that.
Touchdown Navy on 4th and goal.
And that's a great way to wrap it up so we can go watch Army Navy. Signing off here alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Berman. I'm your host, Chase Coburn. Josh,
go Ravens, baby.
The best. Go Ravens. We'll see you next time here on Flock Friday here on Chase's Sports News.